there's one important thing that Amazon FBA gurus failed to actually teach you over and over again. Whether it is with their content, with their free content, or more importantly, with the course that they actually sell you. Now, recently, I actually got into it with an Amazon FBA guru, okay? We got a small beef, okay? A small YouTube drama, not too much, we're not that important. But the reason why this happened is because I told this guy, and I said, like, about this guy, right? Because I've had testimonies of people, not saying that it's directly from this guy, right? But I had testimonies of people that actually got with Amazon gurus. And a lot of my students are people, like my best students, I should say, are people that went with certain gurus that are famous in the space and that never got any results, right? Now, the reason why we got into a quote-unquote beef, which is not really a beef, is because I openly said that these gurus are the reason why a lot of people fail. These gurus and this way of thinking is the reason why I myself spun my tires for 10 years, right? Not with Amazon FBA, but with other business, because you have a whole bunch of people making money teaching you stuff that they are not actively doing. And because of that, the stuff that they teach you is not actually helpful, right? Why? Because to be honest, like, you know, and if we take the Amazon FBA business as an example, right? And not as an example, because it's actively what I'm talking about in this video, right? The reason why you fail is because sure, you understand the method, you understand how to do storefront stalking, you understand how to do manual sourcing, you understand how to send inventory into Amazon, but that's not what's going to help you scale your business, right? That's not what's going to help you be successful, right? Because, for example, right, I know how to run, I know how to walk, I know how to shoot a football, right? A soccer ball, if you want to. That's not going to make me Kylian Mbappe. That's not going to make me Pelé, okay? Let's talk about football, right, for Americans, right? I know how to throw a football. I know how to run. I know how to dodge people trying to tackle me. That's not what's going to make me Tom Brady, right? So, the reason why I'm telling you all this is because the thing that I keep seeing over and over again, right, is people selling courses that are just tutorials on how to use tools and how to actually like do these specific methods, right? The issue with that is that if you want to, like, it's full of fluff, right? If you want to, you can actually learn these things on YouTube for free in 2 to 3 days. Like, let's say in a full day, you can actually learn how to do storefront stalking, how to send a shipment to Amazon, how to actually do manual sourcing, how to use tactical arbitrage, how to learn everything, like all the methods to find profitable products, learn how to send the shipment, and learn how to win the buy box. You can learn all that in one full day, right? However, the issue is that you are missing the strategies, okay? You need to implement the strategies. You don't understand, like, if we talk about method, right? You don't understand, the only thing that you understand is what these methods are and how they actually work, right? But you don't understand what purpose these methods serve. You don't understand why you should do these methods. You don't understand how to actually do these methods, but most importantly, when to actually do these methods, because the when is going to impact the how. The when, the how is going to impact the reason why. What for you actually use these sourcing methods, right? And we can talk about sourcing methods, we can talk about this, and that. Same thing with shipment splits, all that stuff. You don't understand that. And so what people do, and I've seen that over and over again, right? Literally. There's a lot of people, what they do is that they just repackage my videos into something else and then sell it as a course, as a $997 course. And then you wonder why you fail. Because these people dilute the information, right? And so to go back to my main subject, right? If you selling a course or coaching or whatever is like an exit strategy to exit that business in the first place, you should probably not teach people how to do this business. The reason why is because if you need to exit this business, right? It means that you don't know how to run it. Pretty much, you don't know how to run this business at scale. If you don't know how to run the business at scale, you're not going to understand the strategies behind why we do these methods, right? Because you can teach, you know, like, to be honest, there's enough information on YouTube on how to do each of these methods, right? And so you don't understand the big ideas behind these methods. You know to do them robotically, right? But you don't understand what purpose they serve. And this is why, you know, when I do sourcing videos, when I source with my students, usually I'm able to find products really, really fast because I understand the purpose. I understand why I need to do this and what I need to actually look for, right? I understand the underlying mechanics. And that's what you don't understand. And you don't have the strategies to actually scale, right? Because what makes Tom Brady is his IQ, is his ability to actually read the field, right? And your issue is that you keep, like, people keep selling you magic pills, right? They, like, what you think is the magic pill, while it's just like the same strategies over and over again without the context, right? Because yes, Tom Brady could tell me how to throw a football. Tom Brady could tell me how to run, but that's basic stuff, right? What I need to understand is, like, what does he see? Like, what does he see when he looks at the field, right? Why did he throw the ball this way instead of that way, right? Why did he take a step left before throwing the ball? Like, that's all those small nuances that I actually need to understand. And that's why that's what these fake gurus actually fail to teach you. All those nuances, all those underlying mechanics, all the small reasons why you should do this instead of this at this specific moments. All the small things regarding, like, yeah, like, they're running a blitz. So right now, like, the defense is running a blitz, right? So what should I do? So I should, like, give up that, and so I should use this specific tool instead of this other tool that I have in my tool belt, right? And by using these tools, here's what I need to look for. This is what I'm looking for, because based on that, I know where I'm going to look at, right? If they're rushing through the A gap, whatever, I don't know much about football, right? But if they're rushing about the like on the A gap, right? I'm going to read this. If this player is covered, here's my read. Here's what I'm going to look for, right? So if there's that sale going on right now, or if I'm looking at this specific storefront, right? This specific storefront, it looks like this is the gameplay that they run. So based on that, here's what I should look for on this storefront when I'm doing storefront stalking, and here's how I'm going to look at it, like, you know, efficiently. That's what's going to help you scale your business. Now, same thing, here's what I found on this storefront, here's what I should buy, here's how much I should buy, and here's why I'm not buying more, here's why I'm not buying less, right? There's a lot of small nuances like this that you need to understand. The reason why you keep failing is because these gurus are just sending you information that is readily available, right? They lie about, like, you'd be surprised how many people I have that tell me, hey, I got into this thing, I got into that, like, it's just their YouTube channel, like, it's just basic tutorials. So why the fuck, like, am I actually, like, why did I buy that? I actually asked for a refund for that and I never got it. Like, that's all the comments that I get about all these things. And that's why it pisses me off so much. And this is why I will keep saying it. If you're not actively running the business, if your coaching business is just an exit strategy, you should not teach people how to do, like, you should not charge people to actually do this, right? Like, you should stop operating at that level altogether. Because that's what makes people fail. That's what makes people spin their tires for years. That's what makes people give up. Because you give bad information. You don't give enough information. You don't give the context that people pay you to actually get. You're just a leech, you're just trying to extract money, and that's not how it should be done. The way it should be done, the way I actually see it, right? Because if you look at what I do, and of course, if I'm doing it this way, it's because I believe this is the best way to do it, and I believe that all the other ways are actually, like, super dumb, right? Or either dumb or immoral, right? the way I see it, you know, I'm looking at, like, the way I'm looking at is like, you know, my professional life is split in three, right? So, first of all, I run an e-commerce business, right? Second of all, I teach people how to run an e-commerce business. And third of all, I keep learning about how to run an e-commerce business, right? The issue with what a lot of people are doing is that they're just doing one of these things, which is just teaching. And this is why their programs suck, right? And what I'm telling you right now is that you should, like, it doesn't matter in which domain you are in, you should be doing those three things at all time, right? If you are playing, like, if you are into basketball, right, you should play basketball. You should teach people to develop their skills in basketball, right? And you should keep learning about playing basketball, right? And that's what you keep seeing happening over and over again, right? With great players. Like Kobe, for example, right? Or LeBron, or all these players. Because when you look at a lot, and this is one thing that this guy actually told me, he said, like, give me the name of one coach that is, like, one sports coach that is still a great player, right? Kobe was, but what I'm saying is that's not the point, right? Because a coach, if you look at a coach is not the role of a coach at the top level, right? The role of a coach is not to develop people's skills, to develop players. That's not the role of a coach. The role of a coach, like if we take an NBA coach, for example, is to take players, right, and put them together, like develop strategies so all these players, it's really to manage the team. That's why in soccer in England, coach are called manager, right? Because their role is to manage the team, to manage the talents that they have, not to develop talents. However, if we look at levels that are below, right, usually great coach that are great at developing players are coach that are currently played basketball at a high level. The best coach that I had were coaches that were still actively playing, either that or that were literally playing with us, right? I trained with people that are not playing in the NBA, right? Like if you look it up, like Olivier Sarr, Alexandre Sarr, who was like literally drafted second from France, right? We trained in the same, we were training in France in the same center, right? We trained together a lot. And so the way it works, okay, is that the main coach, you know, he's getting old right now, but he's still playing a little bit. He was always playing with us, and we were also playing with pro players when we were just kids, right? But the main coach was able to play, was still playing with us, he was playing pickup with us, right? And what he was doing, the way he actually developed players, is that he took kids, he was going to play pickup games, he took kids, and he was playing with the kids against grown men. We played against pro players, right? That's how we actually developed it. And so, even like if we take my other coach, like Duke Chamba, who's a guy that I actually trained with a lot, he was a pro player when he actually taught me how to play basketball, right? And so that coach analogy, like you should stop that coach analogy because it doesn't make sense. Your goal is not to manage talents that are already developed, right? That's not what you do. You are like more like a skills development guy, right? Actually mentor people. And this is why, for example, Kobe was mentoring a lot of people in the NBA, even people in different teams. Same thing LeBron do, right? You see that a lot. And so that's what's missing. And if you are actually setting yourself, you should actually mentor people that are below you and learn from people that are above you, right? And mentoring does not necessarily mean like, taking an active like coaching role, right? But what it means is actually like, for example, like being on forum where people ask questions and actually answering beginners' question. Why is that? Because it's going to make you think about the stuff that you do, make you actually synthesize it and like reaffirm all these things that you know into your brain. There's a lot of strategies that I actually developed, that I actually use today, right? That I got to develop by being able to express the stuff that I understand unconsciously, right? Subconsciously, I should say, and put it on paper, like actually write it down and build a strategy out of it, right? To make these things attainable for beginners. And these are strategies that I use today, that I teach in my private community, for example, right? But if you look, for example, like, because the main point I'm trying to make is this. In a lot of areas, right? In a lot of industries, in the biggest industries, it's really, really rare that someone's sole job, the only job someone has, is just to teach people. People actually operating at a high level, and the best teachers are rarely just teachers, right? Teaching basic stuff to beginners. That's not how it works. Look at the legal field. Look at law, right? Usually what the best professors do, like when you are an academic, you don't just teach law 101, like, you know, that's not what you do. You don't just teach principles of law, and that's it. No, you write commentary. You actually study, you actually keep studying, so you operate on at least two, because that's true that not every teacher actually practice law, right? But there's like different ways of practicing law. You can teach, you can write commentary, you can actually like comment jurisprudence, right? Comment on news, on what's happening, write articles for a journal. That's the job of being an academic, not just teaching principles of law, like the basic course. And that's the issue with a lot of beginners. And if you are actively working in the community, for example, like building softwares, all that stuff, but still selling a beginner course, all that stuff, that's understandable. The people I'm actually talking about is the people that exit entirely the community, right? Or like actually operate selling 6 figures a year. Like, come on, like, to be honest, like, you know, like there's times where like, you know, of course, sometimes my business goes down because I stop working a little bit, because like I'm taking like a small step back, and I feel like whenever I'm like, sometimes, you know, I feel like I'm having a $60,000-$70,000 month in total with my e-commerce business, and I feel like I'm out of touch with what's going on, right? So you're not going to tell me that you are at sub $10,000 a month and you are in touch because you keep running your business at $10,000 a month. Like, come on, like, stop bullshitting. But that's my point, right? If you want to teach, if you want, first of all, if you want to teach, you should teach because you want to become a great teacher. If you want to mentor, you should mentor because you want to become a great mentor, right? Not just because you want to make money. Yes, of course, obviously you want to make money out of it. Obviously, I want to make money out of my mentorship program, right? But my point is, I want to make my mentorship program the best mentorship program I can. I don't just want to actually be able to pay my bills, because like I have a lot of other things that actually allow me to pay my bills. To be 100% honest, the money that I make with my mentorship program keeps getting reinvested into it, or like in tools that my students actually use, right? Developing more tools, all that stuff. I don't even like pay that much, or like buying more equipment, all that stuff. Like, to be honest, that's not what paid my bills, right? My Amazon business is barely what pays my bills as well. I keep reinvesting the money into this or like other ventures. Right? The point is this. If you don't think that your program is the best out there, you should stop doing it. If you're just doing it to pay your bills, you should stop doing it. Right? And no, actually, like, that's not, because like, if you're doing it to help pay your bills so that way you can reinvest more money into your Amazon business, of course, that makes sense, because it's a cash incentive business. Right? It's a cash heavy business. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. But like, my whole point is, stop selling a course, a mentorship, if it's just to pay your bills. Because if you do it this way, like, it's, once again, like, of course, if you want to make money, it should be money when motivated. Like, money should be one of your motivation, right? But if that money that you need is coming from a place of struggling because you need to pay your bills, all that stuff, your coaching program is going to suck. And that's why your coaching program sucks. That's what I have to say about this. Yeah, talking about my coaching program, you can apply. The link is below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.